All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about the story of a really controversial scientist. His work started with him looking at these tiny glowing microbes and ended with a massive theory about a cosmic energy, an energy he believes fills the entire universe.
It's one of the biggest questions out there, right? Where does life actually come from? Was it some spark in a primordial soup? Maybe a seed from another planet? Or is it something else entirely? Well, for one psychoanalyst and scientist, a guy named Wilhelm Reich, the journey to find an answer didn't start with some grand theory. Nope. It all began with a huge fight about what he was seeing under his very own microscope.
And this debate kicked off what was basically a battle against the scientific establishment of his time. It all centered on that one question: where does microscopic life come from?
Okay, so on one side, you had the established theory: air germs. The idea is simple, right? Microbes are just everywhere, floating in the air, landing on things, causing contamination. But then you have Reich, and his claim was way more radical. He was saying, no, what I'm seeing is life literally creating itself from scratch, from non-living matter as it decays. He even gave these things a name: bions. So to prove he wasn't crazy and that his critics were wrong, Reich ran a whole bunch of control experiments. And he really went for it. He deliberately tried to get things contaminated by the air. He cultured dust from his own hand, plain old tap water, and even just left sterile dishes wide open in his lab. And here's the crucial part. What did he get? Just common, simple bacteria. Nothing at all like the complex, pulsating, glowing bions he'd seen emerging from sterilized moss. So for him, this was it. This was the proof. His bions weren't just some random germs floating in the air. They were a fundamental life-generating phenomenon.
But then the story takes a wild turn. And like it so often does in science, it all came down to a simple mistake in the lab, which led to a totally unexpected discovery.
So Reich was trying to be super sterile, heating materials until they were literally glowing hot, while one day an assistant accidentally used incinerated sea sand instead of the soil he was supposed to. And this mistake created a completely new kind of bion culture, the Sapa bions. That's for sand packet, by the way. But these weren't just any old bions. These things glowed with a really intense blue light, and they had some truly bizarre properties. When he put them near cancer cells or deadly T bacilli under a microscope, the Sapa bions would paralyze and kill them from a distance, without any physical contact. Reich knew he was dealing with some kind of powerful, unknown radiation.
You can imagine, this discovery of a strange radiation just pushed his whole investigation into brand new territory, taking him way beyond the world of biology. And this unknown energy had real physical power. I mean, Reich himself started to develop strange symptoms after observing the cultures for hours and hours. His skin would get red, almost like a sunburn, and he started suffering from severe eye pain. And the weird phenomena just kept piling up. People said the air in the lab felt heavy and oppressive, giving them headaches. Metal tools near the cultures, like scissors and tweezers, became magnetized. And get this, every single roll of photographic film in the room got fogged, even the ones that were still in sealed boxes. It was like this energy was just everywhere.
He'd already ruled out any known forms of radioactivity. So what was it? What kind of energy could affect your body, magnetize metal, and fog film right through its packaging?
To find out, he moved his experiment into a pitch-black cellar. After his eyes adjusted to the darkness, he realized the room wasn't black at all. It was filled with this bluish-gray mist, pulsing with little points of light. And then came the really chilling part. He saw the same glowing aura coming off his own hands, his clothes, his hair. He was apparently terrified.
So the energy wasn't just coming from the cultures, it seemed to be in the room itself, and maybe even in his own body. So, being a scientist, Reich designed this really simple but elegant experiment to trace it back to its source. He used a simple rubber glove and an electroscope, which is a device that detects static charge. So, step 1, a glove near the cultures becomes charged. Okay, makes sense. But then, step 2, a brand new glove, far away from the cultures, also gets charged. This meant the energy was just in the air. Then he put a glove out in the sun, and it got strongly charged. And finally, when he placed a glove on a person's abdomen, it got charged again.
For Reich, this was it. This was the moment all the puzzle pieces just clicked into place. The blue glow, the physical symptoms, the electroscope results, it was all pointing to a single unifying energy. So he had now identified what he believed was the exact same energy in 3 very different places, being released from his bion cultures,
radiating from the sun into the atmosphere and contained within living things. He believed he'd discovered a fundamental, primordial life force. He decided to name it Orgone energy, a name he got from combining organism and orgasm, linking it to what he saw as the core functions of life itself.
But Reich was about to make one final, absolutely staggering discovery, one that would take his theory from biology and launch it straight into cosmology.
He figured that if he could concentrate this energy, he could study it better. So he built a special box with alternating layers of organic material to attract the energy and metal to radiate it inwards. He called it an orgone accumulator. And just as he expected, when he put his cultures inside, the blue glow he saw through a little viewport was stronger than ever.
But then he did the obvious control test. He took the cultures out, expecting the glow to just disappear. But it didn't. The empty box just kept on glowing with that same bluish light. He was completely baffled. If the energy wasn't coming from his cultures, then where was it coming from?
The answer finally came to him during a vacation in Maine. One clear night, he was looking up at the sky, and on a whim, he took an empty tube, kind of like a telescope without any lenses, and pointed it at a dark, seemingly empty patch of the night sky.
And when he looked through that tube, he saw the exact same thing he'd seen in his empty box, shimmering, pulsing points of blue light. The conclusion was suddenly unavoidable. The energy in his accumulator wasn't some anomaly. The box was simply concentrating the orgone energy that was already present everywhere, in the atmosphere itself.
And so a journey that began with tiny microbes under a microscope ended with a theory about a cosmic energy filling all of space. And it really leaves us with a fundamental question about his legacy, doesn't it? Was Wilhelm Reich a forgotten genius who stumbled upon the literal life force of the universe? Or was he a brilliant but misguided man who chased a fascinating illusion all the way to its logical, cosmic conclusion?